believes that AI helps elevate customer experience and it helps companies rapidly transform on-demand customers' experience. The immersive digital experience matters more for the always-on customer care today. So I'm pleased to explore the role of AI in customer experience with you here today. I started my company, Tigon Advisory, a growth accelerator for about 3 years ago. And I spent the first year working with a conversational AI startup. We expanded the company from one vertical to three, from 2 customers to 36 customers, and increased their ARR by 25 times within a year. Then 18 months ago, I became an advisor to Pipestream, another conversational AI company out of New York. Pipestream was founded in 2015, grew to 500 customers by end of year 1. It was named one of the 4 hot wonders in conversational AI by Argonne Research. Their customers include Google, Chase, Shell, Principal, and P&G. So that's my 2.5 years of journey with AI so far. In the next 20 minutes, I will share my understanding of AI and customer experience framework and explore how we can leverage AI to enhance customer experience. We will leave the last 5 minutes for Q&A toward the end of the session.
ఒక సెషన్ 1 hour ఉంది అప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ అయినప్పుడు వచ్చింది.
Hello.
కాఫీ పెట్టేసి కాఫీ ఉన్నాయి టిఫిన్ ఇడ్లీ పెట్టే చట్నీలు ఉన్నాయి.
Lena, can you put yourself on mute? Okay. So let's start with the AI and customer experience framework here. AI plays 4 basic roles in customer experience: sense, think, act, and learn. The sense really means AI acquires and assimilates data from words, images, sounds, and text. For example, natural language understanding helps us understand what customers saying and wanting to do. And then think here refers to AI's capability to predict an outcome, find a relationship, and create an association. Act refers to the task and action AI performs based on information it has processed. And learn really means that AI can get smarter with each customer interaction when it learns from the information it has received and then how it relates to what it recognizes. AI will continue to define how business operate as advanced analytics and automation becomes more efficient and reliable. So let's explore the 5 steps that you can do to better understand how AI can play a role in enhancing customer experience. The first step is to start with deeper understanding of your customers. Understand the strong and weak point of the customer experience and explore where AI can enhance customer experience using the sense, think, act, and learn framework. Applying AI to customer experience, call centers and digital marketing purposes are often considered low-hanging fruits. One of the most popular AI use case is voice recognition. Many people have benefited from the virtual assistants such as Alexa, Google Home. However, imagine you are at a grocery store, received a payment overdue alert, and had to make that payment when you were shopping. That's when you don't want to speak to a live agent to verify your identity because you don't know who else is listening. You'd rather interact through text messages at that moment. So we have learned that under such circumstances, consumers would rather interact with business through digital experience than the chat experience. And the majority of customers prefer automated messaging interaction than a live agent. If you do go through a messaging experience, a human is on the other hand, there's no way human can really respond as quickly to so many people at the same time as a machine. So it will have the service degradation at certain scale. Therefore, there needs to be automation at the other end. In another word, needs to be robot interacting with human. These are the factors that really what's giving the rise and velocity of AI use case in customer experience today. Once you figure out what your strong and weak point of customer experience is and where to focus, it is time to ask what use case can apply to AI. And if you can leverage AI to gain better sense of what your customer is saying and wanting to do. So let's drill into the first role of AI that AI can play in customer experience. That's the sense. You probably heard of NLU and NLP. Those are the very common concepts here. The natural language processing really helps us understand. Actually, the natural language understanding helps us understand what customers are saying and wanting to do. The natural language processing helps us take what customers want to do, we call utterances, and we can make something happen with it. One use case I've seen is to leverage AI for financial literacy. For example, if your daughter is a freshman at a college, she's the president of an investment bank club at the university, she's given a set budget to use for activities throughout the year. There are a few other members also with shared responsibility for the club. Through an AI app, she can track how much the club has spent year to date, how much budget she has left, and if she needs another to raise another funds. So it can also tell her where the money was spent and if it is above or below her budget for each spending category. So she can quickly leverage the AI to give her a sense about where she is at with the club financial budget. Once the AI collects the information and interprets it, the process of thinking starts. That brings us to the second role that AI can play in customer experience. Its ability to create association and predict outcome. How do I classify your request, process your request, go through the decision tree and fetch the information you want? You are asking to transfer funds from checking account to brokerage account, and I know how to accomplish that by following a set of rules, working through the audit, verification, verifying your authenticate that you are the user who you say you are, and then connect that to the back-end systems. If there is anything missing here, I will ask follow-up questions to get additional human help. Loosely, we can call it AI thinking in a primitive way. If we go one step further, AI actually is programmed to check the credit card account spending, the auto pay setup, and last few months of payment patterns. Say that I have sensed that you are moving $1,000 to brokerage, which leaves $500 in checking account balance. I also sense that your payroll deposit is not going to show up in 10 days, and you have auto pay typically in 3 days to AT&T Cellular. And then I can really give you a reminder that you might be overspending based on your regular spend pattern. But then at the end of the day, AI is not going to make decisions for you. And then AI only reminds you that you might be overspending. And then if you continue to decide to move forward with the transfer, and AI will execute that on your behalf. Well, just creating association and predicting outcome is only a step forward toward customer experience enhancement. Artificial intelligence, by definition, is the process of augmenting and simulating human intelligence. Before trying to solve a complex problem in the physical world, Any logical human being will first plan the course of actions in order to reach the goal. Same applies to AI. As AI is going through the thinking process, it is also acting by connecting to the back-end systems and getting balances. It supports the decision tree analysis. The next step for AI is then to take the information, recommendation, and risk alert, turn that into the appropriate language to communicate back to the end user. When the end user accepts the recommendation or insists on buying the next Amazon stock and worry about bills later, AI actually respects that decision and executes the funds transfer and stock purchase. A confirmation is provided obviously as the last step of the action to the end user. Learning is central to the process of the sense, think, and act framework. As AI becomes more adaptive, it will be able to apply learned knowledge to other situations. This brings us to the first role that AI can play in customer experience. That's learn. Back to the AI company I consulted with, it built a platform to support the business in the financial industry. On top of the platform, there are many learning modules that developers or administrators teach the AI module to sense, think, and act, specific to the narrowly defined sub-processes and scenarios. Another example is a conversational engine to handle customer service calls. AI will learn that if a caller uses certain words, then it shows that they're angry, so it's time to connect them with a live agent. Then it needs to learn what customer is saying. At the same time, it authenticates that user to make sure Nikki is who she says she is and able to direct her to a live agent. It will take time for AI to become general purpose learners like people. However, they do get smarter with each customer interaction. There are definitely things to consider as you embark on the AI journey. Number one, start with the basic problem you want to solve around customer experience. For example, if you are an insurance company, you like to transform the policyholder experience through digital engagement. Claims, payments, policy coverage rates. Policy coverage are the areas incur most customer calls with lowest customer satisfaction. Instead of growing call centers, you may want to invest in automation to enhance customer experience. Second, a proof of concept is always a good starting point. For example, once you determine you will focus on claim department call center for the proof of concept, then you will need to analyze call center logs, come up with matrix of use cases and user persona, then design and build conversational AI. You also need to think about the integration you're creating, and then also set up how you're going to set it up with connect that with the backend system. And then employee training should happen in parallel. How you really train the agent to communicate with your customer, also critical. And then thirdly, always critical to benchmark where your customer experience is today, and then track the KPIs of early initiatives with a view to optimize performance and expand to more complex business scenarios. Those are really critical for success. And then the fourth point here is data quality is so important when applying artificial intelligence techniques, because the result of these solutions will be as good or bad as the quality of the data used. The algorithms that feed systems based on AI can only assume the data to be analyzed are reliable. This learning process can take a year or two, so you need to be patient to let it run its course until you get the expected result and then continue to optimize with the data and with it, that you can learn from the data you have available. So Eric Hoffer once said, in times of change, learners inherit the earth when the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. In a poetic way, Hofer describes the heart of change management. Applying Hofer's point to AI, it's not enough to be learned or experts on the technology. AI will be transformational, making everyone within the organization's ecosystem a learner of AI. In fact, focusing on the psychological and cultural changes within your organization is critical for any customer experience transformation or AI adoption. Because in the end, digital transformation is at the crossroad of tech and humanity. AI will multiply our capability to understand our customers, create association, and predict outcome, optimize our processes so we can take proactive action to enhance customer experience. Most importantly, it will help us get smarter with every customer interaction. So that's the role of artificial intelligence in customer experience.